Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 333. So before we get into your business questions, I just want to real quick address last week's whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. The reason is because there is a business lesson in this. Okay, so when I woke up, I guess it was Monday morning, and I saw that everything had happened when what he did, and I watched the video. I'm like, this is absolutely a man who has just lost his mind. And then the more I learned, the more I understood, because I have not understood all of the kind of backstory to him and Jada Pinkett and Jada sleeping with their son's Fred. And then somebody sent me the talk where he started crying, and it was, I feel like he snapped. He made a horrible, horrible, horrible decision. I would like to commend Chris Rock. And a lot of people, I think, were probably like, well, why didn't Chris Rock? Because can you imagine, you're hosting a huge network television show, and nothing like this has ever happened before. You see somebody that you're friends with get up, walk on stage, you think, oh, this is going to be fun, and you get smacked. Like when something so out of left field happens, a lot of times you're stunned, right? You can't even contemplate what just happened. And I'm sure that this is the situation that Chris was in. But when I started to really kind of think about it, I often say to myself, because my grandfather actually said it, you either feed your family or your ego. And what he did in a split second of horrible decisions, he potentially ruined his career. Now, do I think his career is over? No, because he's Will Smith. If he was somebody less likable, I think it would be over. Because in the real world, and that's another thing, that's like celebrities and Hollywood and people that are famous, it's a different world. Rules don't apply the same to them that they do to us. If you go up and you smack me in the face, I'm going to be like, yo, I'll probably cry. But you get what I'm saying. You just don't do this type of stuff. Celebrities, they get a pass. And I've said this a bunch of times. Celebrities get a pass for being horrible people or doing horrible things. It doesn't apply to them. And once again, here's another perfect example. Now, it's also a great example of, I feel, somebody that is absolutely off the rails emotionally, right? He's obviously dealing with some pretty big issues, right? Big issues with his wife, big issues with him. I don't know what it is, but he's got big issues and he needs freaking therapy. If he's having a hard time. Therapy is a good thing, and I highly recommend it for myself. I highly recommend it for anybody who's having a difficult time dealing with something, which brings me to another point that I learned the hard way. If somebody cheats on you, it's over. It's done. It needs to be done. Because then you are going to always be thinking about it, and you're always it perverts and destroys the dynamic of a relationship. And I don't know what's going on in their house. I have no idea. I don't care, to be honest. But it's an example of if he did that to try to prove something to her that he was a man or that he was whatever, look what happened. It's just it's so messed up, that whole situation. But the other thing I just want to tell you, when I get up every morning, do you know what my mantra is? The thing that I say to myself, I look myself in the mirror, I say, Alpha, actually I say, Aaron, don't fuck it up today. Every day, I say the same exact thing. I am a firm believer that each and every one of us is one or two bad, horrible decisions away from being broke, homeless, or in jail. And this is an example. You make one bad decision, one momentary lapse of judgment, giving into your impulses as opposed to being able to control yourself, think about things, and then make the best decision based on what is right or what you should do as opposed to what you feel in the moment. He could have literally ruined his career. And now what's going to happen? Every time for the foreseeable future, every time you think Will Smith, you're not going to think the guy who just won the Best Actor award for his role in whatever, or Getting Jiggy with It, or The Fresh Prince. You're going to think of the idiot who slapped Chris Rock in the face. Now, another business lesson is that Chris Rock, by being reasonable and being a man and standing up and being like, yo, not retaliating, not doing anything stupid or not saying anything stupid, His sales for his comedy tour, which has just gone like, it's gone like apparently like through the roof. I just heard an ad on the radio today here in Atlanta. He's coming to the Fox Theater. They're like, and we just added a second show. You know why they added a second show? Because everybody is super excited. And so he is seizing the opportunity of something bad. Was it bad? Was it bad? Was it bad that it happened to Chris? I don't necessarily know that it is. Because he looks like the hero in this whole thing. People are talking about Chris Rock. I haven't heard of Chris Rock in a long time. He hasn't been relevant to me, but now he's super freaking relevant. But like I said, you're one or two bad decisions, each and every one of us, from being broke, homeless, or in jail. And this was a perfect example of that. You either feed your ego or your pride. That's what my grandfather used to tell me. What are you going to feed? Are you going to give in to the impulse? Are you going to do what you feel in the moment? Or are you going to be able to think about it? Because think about this. He wanted to do something, heroic, or if he wanted to do something to really like plant his manly flag in the ground, think about the power that he would have had he not snapped to accept the speech or to accept the award for the best actor. Here's everybody. The world is watching. What do you want to say? What do you want to say to your wife? She's the strongest woman ever, like blah, blah, blah. You can say whatever you want. But instead of everybody thinking, oh, Will Smith just won an award, everybody thinks, oh, what an idiot, what an ass. The memes, though, have been amazing. All right, so now it's time to get to some of your amazing business questions. So apparently you guys really dug last week's vlog where we talked a little bit about Alex Hormozi and Grant Cardone. A lot of people are just like, you're an idiot. Like, you don't even, like, a lot of people, it's so funny. It's called clickbait. The reason why you say scam artist is because it's clickable, right? But you got to watch the video to see if I actually said that. I did not say that. Anyway, a lot of you guys had very strong opinions on both Alex, both Grant, and if you guys get value from either one of them, I say keep watching and do your thing. They're both crazy, crazy successful, more successful in their respective areas or fields or financially than I am, and so what do I know? Apparently. Anyway, something I do know is a little bit about answering some questions, right? I may not have the exact answer that is correct technically, but I'm going to give you my opinion. All right, so the first question comes from our friend RM Vlogs. He says, how often, if ever, does Tiege hire consultants to get outside perspectives on business models and different frameworks within the company? Also, if you have time, do you bring in consultants for any of your other businesses? P.S. You should see if you can have Alex on this channel. I probably could. I actually have a mutual friend. We probably could make that happen. Maybe I'll look into it. So yes, Tiege Hanley, absolutely. We just got done with an engagement with a consultant to basically come in and try to help us with some of our brand identity, some of the messaging. It's something that, like I've talked about, it's no secret. I think that Tiege Hanley, to some extent, over the course of the past 2 years, has struggled a bit with the messaging. What is the message? Who is our audience? We know kind of who our audience is, but what is the message? What is the ethos? What is the essence of what we're trying to say? Because until you know that, or I should say, when you know that, that directs every aspect of your business. It directs, how you market. It directs what you're saying. It directs your ads. It directs your platform. It directs everything. And so for Tiege, when we started, like we talked about, we were really cool, right? We were the cool ones. We were, fresh out of the gate. Everybody was excited, the meme culture, all that. But then we kind of, as we grew, we lost a little bit of that attitude, a little bit of that edge. And competition also along that time frame sort of started to go crazy. Well, good news is that we've got a really successful business and brand. The bad news is that we lost our cool a little bit, and we're trying to find it again. And so we hired a gentleman to come in, interviewed everybody. He did this big presentation, and then basically gave us some food for thought. And then as a company, as a entire company, we came together and we had a meeting, and we kind of digested it and gave ideas. All right, so what are some ideas? How are we going to grow? How are we going to grow organically? Because organic growth is one of the things that we are really focused on. As advertising, paid traffic is getting more expensive, as the space is getting noisier, you focusing on the organic customer acquisition, or your customers talking about your products, promoting your products for you for free, this is the thing that is really going to set brands apart, because it's expensive. It's really expensive to advertise. And so it's also getting more difficult to track, right? That whole Facebook pixel thing, for those of you who have any idea of paid traffic, it's hard, right? It's gotten harder to track. You don't know if you're spending good money in order to acquire customers. It's really difficult to wrap your brain around, or your hand around, or your financial hands around. In terms of attribution. The attribution model's gotten a little bit funky. But that being said, trying to develop the message, trying to develop programs and platforms, and what are we looking to do? How do we get our customers, our audience that is loving Tiege Hanley and seeing amazing results in their handsome ass skin, how do we get them to talk about us more? And that's something that we've been addressing and trying to figure out. We also came up with a few sort of marketing strategies. I had a really bad one that I'm not going to repeat because, once again, protect the brand. But it was fun. It was a great exercise, and we came away from it with good, valuable direction and actionable things that we can actually do. This question comes from our friend Cesar Garcia. He said, when should an e-commerce store run by one person decide to get commercial space for warehouse and hire help for order fulfillment and overall logistics? That's a great question, but it's only something that you can answer. I'm not really sure there is a perfect time, but when you reach a point at which you're kind of maxed out, if you are currently fulfilling things like at home, like in a room or whatever, or you want to get help and it's difficult to actually, bring somebody into your house, that's what happened with Pete and Pedro. The reason why I got this office was because I was tired, or I should say I was tired. I was tired of fulfilling orders for 3 hours a day at night. And so I thought, okay, I need somebody to help me, but I don't want them coming into my home. What do? I need a space. Okay, well, what am I going to do? I looked at, commercial space, and I really love this building. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could kind of knock out two birds with one stone, meaning I'm going to get an office, a studio, but also a place where I could have, the fulfillment out of and bring somebody in. It really, I guess when does it make sense financially? When is it the right time financially? Like, if you're right now killing it and you're stacking bucks, right? And you're like, yeah, I'm making money. What is the reason? Like, is getting something bigger or a warehouse or overhead, because that's what's going to happen. As you now scale or get the warehouse, you're going to have rent, right? Might not have that already. Another employee. What is going to change, and what is the benefit? How is it going to benefit you? Are you going to be able to order more inventory so that you can reduce your basis and make more profit? Is it going to give you more freedom, flexibility, because you're not doing the work? And then what and how would you use that time? Just think about it. I mean, it's really a personal thing, and only you can answer that question. But when it feels right, that's probably the time. Don't do it because you just want a warehouse and want an office. Don't get the business cards if you don't need them, kind of thing. Like, don't spend the money. But if it's logical, if it's going to help you take your business to the next level and grow, and you can afford it without stressing about it, then do it. The next question comes from our friend Mike Lembo. He says, hey Aaron, my question has to do with, did I mention, if you got a business question down below, start with business question and ask. Each week we try to get to a few of them. This is a vlog dedicated to helping you on your entrepreneurial journey. The whole reason we started it was to help you avoid some of the pitfalls that we at Tiege Hanley have run into. And we really wanted to document the process of starting this business and building the brand. And that's why we started it. But it's about you. So if you got a question down below, business question, and ask it. Mike Lembo has an amazing question about patience. He says, hey Aaron, my question has to do with patience. It seems with some social media influencers now, people have developed the thinking that if they aren't financially successful by the time they're 30 years old, they've lost their chance or they are late. So my question is, do you feel social media influencers have put an unrealistic expectation on people to achieve success too quickly? While it's amazing to achieve financial success by 30 years old, I also think a lot of people are burning themselves out trying to achieve something too fast. Your thoughts? Yes, yes, and yes. I'm old, right? I'm 40, I think I'm 45. Am I going to be 45 or 46? I was born in 76. Anyway, I can't even keep track. I am so glad, so unbelievably happy that I did not find any type of success until I was in my late 30s. One of the things and one of the issues with social media and influencers is that you're absolutely correct. It paints an unrealistic expectation for most normal people, right? In terms of what is potential, what is possible, in terms of earning potential. Unfortunately, I think that when we see young people that just happen to have a video camera and an audience turn that or leverage that into an amazingly successful or financially successful, rewarding career or business or brand, it's not reality for most people. Now, if you're in that world, then okay, maybe it's reality, but most people, that's not how they're going to make their money. It's not how they're going to realize success. And this is, I'm gonna curse, just be ready. If you don't wanna curse, go like this. I tell this to everybody that asks. Hang on. ASOS, it was Will Smith. He said, bitch, I'll smack. That was my wife. Who can totally take care of herself. What was I even? Oh, I was about to curse. The internet will fuck up your perception of a dollar. And what I mean by that is the internet makes it seem super easy. If you can, and it is to some degree, if you can figure out that mechanism in order to make $1, chances are you can figure out that mechanism to make 2 or 3 or 4 or 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000. And unfortunately, when you think about it in terms of, e-commerce, the barrier to entry is like super low. Being an influencer, the barrier to entry is like nothing, right? You can do it. But most people don't make money that way. Most people have to work for a living, right? And I'm not saying that this isn't work. I'm not saying that these social media people aren't working, but it's different. And it's hard. Making $1 is hard. When you, it's hard. I remember, and this is something that I always think about. When I was personal training, to make $1,000, I needed to train 20 sessions, basically, is what it worked out to. 20 hours. 20 hours of work, and I would make $1,000. So when you think about that, if I were to do 40 hours in a week, right? Essentially, that's like $2,000 in a week. Now, that's like crushing it. 40, as a personal trainer, if you're doing 40 hours consistently as a trainer, that's a lot. I never made that much money when I was personal training. It just didn't happen. Now, granted, I had a business, and so a lot of the income that I was generating, I was getting a little salary. I made my personal training career, when I was training and I had my studio, I made $24,000 a year, just to let you know. And it was hard. I had to bust my ass for that. Most people do. Most people have to work super hard. Now, the cool thing is that it's never been a better time. It's never been easier to start an online business. It's never been a better time or easier to develop passive income. And it's never been easier or a better time to have amazing investment opportunities, even if you don't have a ton of money. And I'm not talking about cryptocurrency or anything like that. I'm just talking about access to investing platforms or information that I never had when I was younger, right? And so if you want to make a buck, you can do it. You might need to think about things. You might need to get creative. You might need to, think a little bit outside of the box. But there are opportunities out there. There really is no excuse. But back to your question. Is it too late by 30? I hope not. I think there is no right time to find success. Success is going to find you when timing and preparation meet, right? They say that's when luck, or what luck is. When timing and preparation get together, that's what luck is. You've just got to keep working, keep your eye on the prize, but it's never too late. It's never too young. It's never too, early to start working. I mean, you've got these young kids now, in their teens that are crushing it on a level that's hard to fathom, but it's not reality. It's not reality for most normal people like us. And the last business question comes from our friend SoCal Seth. He says, hey Alpha, SoCal Seth here. My question is on the topic of relationships. I've been a subscriber of yours for a long time. I even had the pleasure of meeting you a couple years ago at the Men Influential Conference, which was an honor and a pleasure. It was my honor and pleasure to meet you, Seth. I also, missed those damn conferences. Anyhow, something I dealt with on a level not quite the same as you is how to manage people wanting things from you or people just trying to gain access to you to benefit themselves. With the pandemic, obviously, a lot has changed. And I'm finding that some things are not supportive as what I once thought. I'm finding that some things are not supportive as what I once thought. Okay, sorry, I'm slow today. in some ways, I find myself getting a smaller circle and going my own direction versus trying to please the masses. Any advice in this area would be appreciated. So this is a great question, and something that, you know, you're going to have to deal with whether or not you're successful or not. When you find success, or when people think that you can benefit them, yeah, you gotta just protect yourself. And this is something that I did not always do. You know, I've talked about it openly that I am a huge people pleaser. I want everybody to like me, and I unfortunately allowed that to kind of dictate kind of my happiness, and it prevented me from living my life, my truth, my dream, because I was trying to please other people and make sure that everybody liked me, and that is no place to be. Now, you shouldn't be a dick, you shouldn't go around slapping people at the Oscars, but you want to make sure that you are not being a people pleaser. And the thing that I have done, and this is something that I set up sort of a protocol, right? When people email me, it doesn't automatically come to me. I've got an assistant who basically fields emails and inquiries. And she's kind of like the gatekeeper before it gets to me, because, you know, yeah, a lot of people, and I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but a lot of people are emailing me on a daily basis. I probably get 50 to 100 emails from people saying, hey, I got this great idea. Ooh, hey, can you help me? Hey, I want this, you know. And if you allow that, or you answered all those questions, I literally would have no time for me. You've got to set up boundaries. You've got to be able to say no. Saying no was something that was super hard for me to learn to do. I actually went to therapy to learn to do it. I've talked about that before. But what happened is once I finally said it, right, and stood up for myself, I was like, nope, I can't, right? I almost passed out because I was so nervous. It was so hard for me, but it felt amazing. It was a rush, and then it became easier. And so I get it, right? I have a very small, I say small, it's not really small. I have a lot of people in my life that I love, that are amazing people, that I value, and I spend as much time with the people that I love as possible. You know, in terms of new people coming into my life, you know, I am a very trusting person, and so I trust your motives, I trust your intentions until you prove that I shouldn't. Now, when people reach out to me saying, I want this, I want that, can you do this? You know, of course, there's an objective. They have an objective, and so do I trust them? I trust them to want something, but I don't necessarily want to connect with them on a level. So I don't even know if I'm answering the question, other than to tell you, you just got to make sure that you are doing what's right for yourself, because people will suck the life out of you. You know, energy vampires, time vampires, you know, productivity vampires. If you allow other people to dictate what you do, how you think, how you go out about your day, you're never going to get to what you need to do. Protect yourself, protect your time. It is the most valuable asset that you have other than your health. Health is number one, time is number two. Those two things you can't buy more of, right? And so you got to make sure that you are protecting it. You got to be honest with yourself and surround yourself with people that you trust, that you love, that are going to uplift you and help you on your journey, and you are basically benefiting them and they're benefiting you. If you've got relationships that aren't bringing you value, why are you continuing to give any energy, any bandwidth, any emotional, you know, capital to them? That's my question I guess I would ask you. It sounds like you are limiting your exposure and risk, and I think that's an amazing thing. And that's where I'm going to wrap things up. Thanks for the question though, Seth. Amazing. And it was great to meet you. It was my pleasure. It was also my pleasure to be with you today. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. As always, we love you more than what? Our double monk strap shoes, which makes me think about double monk strap shoes. I put them on the other day because I did this polo video where I dressed up a bunch of polos that I'm going to launch in a few days. Ooh, those double monks are still sexy, gentlemen, and so are you.